Oh my God, it is week 27. You know what that means? It means we have passed half of the year and we are now obviously going to do a mid-year check-in. Are you astonished by the fact that it's already the middle of the year, and are you finding it hard to stay motivated? Are you feeling like the past 6 months maybe you didn't accomplish what you set out to accomplish and you don't really know how to get back on track for the rest of the year? Well, in this episode, I'm sharing my secrets to setting goals that not only keep me on track, but that also keep me happy and excited to keep on going. So if you want to know how you can motivate yourself instead of demotivate yourself with goals, this episode is for you. Let's dive right in. Hello, and welcome to Fail to Win, a show where we love to make mistakes and learn from them so you can turn your passion into profits and live life on your own terms. I'm Amy van der Putten from FastForwardAmy, your host and coach, and I'll bring you a new episode with simple strategies every Tuesday. One of the things I am personally incredibly proud of is that as we hit this half of the year mark, my business is actually already on track to have already broken even. Is that how we say it? So I don't know if you know a lot about me, if you've been listening for a long time, but I'm Amy. I have multiple online businesses. My FastForwardAmy business is my main one. And since 2020, I have been hitting 7 figures in online income. And we're already on track this year for the same. But also, I already know that everything that we make extra the rest of the year is going to be profit because I have my budget under control. I have my income under control. We're hitting our targets and I'm just feeling good. It's really nice to know that in the middle of the year, you already know that the rest of the year is going to be profit and that you're already at break even. But that did not happen by accident. If you've been here for a while, you know that I had a really shitty year last year. Last year, my energy was low. My body was like totally out of balance. And that caused me to kind of like not be happy in my business. I was in a role of managing a lot of people, but I wasn't really feeling really creative. I didn't know if I wanted to coach anymore. I was having a little bit of an existential crisis in my business. And I pressed pause on a lot of things because I wasn't really hitting my goals. What I was doing wasn't really working. And I just really didn't feel aligned. So in the entire year of 2023, it was just really difficult if I'm going to be honest. I cut down a lot of costs. I had a really good look at my team and if I had to build it the way I wanted to build it, and I was actually feeling really frustrated. So I changed so many things, but it took me a lot of discipline to get through that year so I could tap into what I really wanted. And I realized throughout that year that I wanted to coach more. I actually didn't want to build a business to sell. I wanted to really build a business that I enjoyed every single day. I wanted to do more creative work, less managing work. And I'm currently at the point where I'm doing all of that. And I'm feeling really, really happy in my business. But it didn't happen overnight. And I had to set a lot of goals to help me get to that point. So in today's episode, I kind of want to share with you how I have set goals that kept me happy and driven even whilst in the middle of the shit show, and that I'm also using now in order to build more and more. And yeah, so one of those things I'm really proud of is that we're already at break even for the rest of the year and that the rest of the year is going to be profit. So I hope that inspires you to take action with what I'm going to teach you in the rest of this episode. So the first thing I would do is just hone in on why is it so important that you check in with yourself and your goals in the middle of the year. By now, you've noticed that months fly by really quickly. And I think one of the really big dangers we have is that we always think we have so much time, but 6 months fly by so fast. And then we're there and it's summertime. So if you grew up in Belgium, maybe like me, you still think of July and August as being summer vacation months. So a lot of people tend to skip those months in terms of being productive. They're like, oh, I'll get right back to work in September. But then in September, a lot of people have lower budgets because of an expensive summer. They're really busy. Kids are going back to school. Work is picking back up. So September flies by before you know it as well. Then October gets to be a pretty good month. But then in November, there's holidays, there's Black Friday, and December, vitamin D is down, energy is low, holidays are there, and everyone is busy. So If you look at the entire outset of a year, you will see that there are very few months where there are no exceptions. And that is why a lot of people, in my opinion, don't make a lot of progress often, because they overestimate how much time they have and they lean into the exceptions instead of leaning into a plan. And that's what I want to invite you to do, is really look at the past couple of months. How often have you postponed something because the time was not right, because you were waiting for the moment where you had more time, because for a less busy month and la-di-da, I think by now we can kind of conclude that there are no single months that are the right time to take action. And if there is no time that is the right time, maybe that means it's always the right time. Okay, so we're going to use that motivation to set some goals. So the first way I set goals is I set multiple goals. For example, for my launch that I'm currently in the middle of, we set a couple of goals for our sales, and we consciously set them lower than what we thought was possible, because we really wanted to motivate ourselves, and we also wanted to create a realistic financial plan, because when the weather is good, our sales go down. When shit happens, sometimes we've had systems being down, you're just never really in control of what's going to happen. So the way I set multiple goals, for example, for sales, is I set break even, good, and super happy goals. So our break-even first target was 50 sales for our online business club launch, and we hit that in the first 24 hours. We also worked towards that really well, and that made me really happy, because obviously for myself as well as for my team, that's very motivating that you have that first target already hit. And then I set a next goal that was 100, and the goal above that is 150, and we've already hit 100 as well, which is our good goal. And you can do this for your health, for, let's say, your sleeping goal. You can be like, okay, so ideally I would sleep 7 hours, good, like at least good is 7.5, super happy is 8 hours of sleep. For me, those are the sweet spots. By the way, a lot of people think they sleep 8 hours, but they don't. I'm measuring this with my Oura ring, so this is actual sleep, not time in bed. There's a really big difference for a lot of people. And for sales, this could be what do you need in order to continue, could be your break-even target. And then you have your good, which means you would have some profit, especially for a new product. And then super happy would be like, I'm not necessarily focused on that, but if that is possible, that would be really crazy good. So this keeps you motivated because you have attainable benchmarks while also keeping you focused on that there is more possible. And it gives you less pressure, it gives you increased satisfaction, and it invites you to set goals that you think you can hit. And a lot of people don't even set goals. So just want to invite you, make sure you always set goals. And if you're afraid of setting goals because you won't hit them, maybe set them a little bit lower and make sure that you have a goals staircase, is what I call the multiple tiers of goals. So low, medium, high is really going to motivate you to do that, or have 5 goals. But I think 3 is kind of the sweet spot. So the second tip I will give you in terms of goal setting is that I tend to balance result-oriented, which is what we just talked about, with process-based goals. So result-oriented could be 50 sales. Process-based could be sending out an email every day. Because maybe I'm not hitting my result. Maybe no one wants to buy because the weather is just so good. I had a day like that yesterday. The weather was just so good. Everyone was just outside. And I was like, did I do something wrong? But I think people were just outside enjoying life. But I hit my process. Namely, I sent out an email to remind people of what I was selling. I got less sales yesterday than I thought I was going to get, but I did hit my process-based goals. Same with my waitlist. So I had a waitlist target of between 500 and 1,000. So I had 500, 750, 1,000. I hit 609. So that's not even my second target, but that was my result-oriented goal. I also had a process-based goal of posting on my feed every single day to fill up my waitlist on my smaller account, and I hit that. So the thing is, this is just like with strength training. I can give myself a target of bench pressing 50 kilos, but I won't actually be in charge of being able to hit that goal. What I can be in charge of is process-based, eating protein at every meal, adding vegetables to every meal, making sure I go to bed on time. So if you feel like you're feeling demotivated, that is often because the only thing you're setting goals for is your result. But ultimately, you can do a lot of things and still not hit your result because you can't actually manipulate or control the fact that people are going to buy from you, for example, or that your video is going to get X amount of views. But you can control the fact that you're going to post every day or that you're going to eat protein at every meal. So I combine both for maximum impact because maybe I hit my sales target of a 50 sales. And maybe you've also had this in the past, that you hit your target and then you kind of let go. Well, I can't let go because I also have the process-based targets of posting every day or sending out an email every day. So if you combine both, you're going to see that you're always going to feel motivated. My dad calls this, or he does this while he's rowing. So he has a water rower. And he always says like, oh, he always rows 10 kilometers each day, I think. And he says, well, often that takes me a really long time and I kind of have to keep myself motivated as I'm rowing. So he'll say, I want to row 2 kilometers. And then when he's almost at 2 kilometers, he'll see like, oh, maybe I can do 5 more minutes. And he'll motivate himself by always adding in a next step and a different goal. So he'll go from the kilometers to the minutes, which is how he keeps himself motivated. For me, this is like the first goal could be starting my workout. And then I'm like, okay, so just like step by step and making sure that you are motivating yourself, just not just with the results. I so often see this happening. People have a sales goal. Let's say you want to sell for $1 million this year. So on December 31st, we'll see if you hit your goal. That means that you are working towards that goal 360 days in a year. You're not there. You're not there. You're not there. You're just working towards that one goal. And then the last day of the year, maybe you hit it. Congratulations. And then the next day rolls around and you have to start all over again. That is extremely demotivating. So I like to hit my goals every day or every week or every month by having those processes in place, by having goals per month. I work in months a lot, in quarters, and I just love that because it keeps me motivated. And then if I can combine everything, I will also hit my goal by the end of the year, but I am getting these dopamine hits by hitting my targets throughout the year. So first tip, set multiple goals. If you're setting result-oriented goals, make sure you have multiple tiers. Second tip, balance your result-oriented goals with your process-based goals. So I'm just going to do a quick check-in with you right now. What is something that you could do right now that can motivate you towards the one thing you want to hit? So maybe you want to hit 10,000 Instagram followers. So maybe that's a really big goal and you could now commit to posting twice a day in order to hit that goal and posting reels. Maybe you want X amount of sales and now you can commit to creating a story and a reel every day to hit those goals. Or maybe if you're working more B2B, not necessarily through socials, you can say, okay, I'm going to reach out to 5 past clients every day in the beginning of the day. Maybe they become clients, maybe not, but at least you put in the work. And then last but not least, as it is the middle of the year, I would like to invite you to do a little mid-year review. So the way I always review, I do this every week. Every week in my Notion, there's a task that pops up on Friday and it says, plan your week and debrief the last week. So I always debrief my last week. I ask myself 3 questions and you can do this for your entire first half of the year as well. You can ask yourself what went well. So maybe you can say, oh, what went well is I hit all of my sales targets. A lot of people signed up. And then maybe you can say, what could have gone better? Well, there was a lot of stress and last minute work. And yeah, that was not fun. I had to work overtime a lot. And then you can ask yourself the third question, which is, what am I missing for future success? And for most people, this will be a plan. If you have a plan for the next 6 months, it's going to be a lot easier to really make sure that you're actually, going to hit your targets without being overwhelmed or working late, for example. So do a little mid-year review, what went well and celebrate that. A lot of people don't celebrate enough, which is also why they don't have energy. So the topic of this episode was also, how to feel happy and excited about your goals and not demotivated. A lot of that has to do with what I already said is the process-based goals, but also not celebrating the wins you do have. So what went well, celebrate that. Then identify what could have gone better. And if you do this repeatedly, for example, every week, you're going to realize that it's often going to be the same thing. And what's missing for future success is often going to be a realistic plan. So let's recap the key points here. goals can be really motivating if they are actually realistic. And I'm someone who used to not love the word realistic, but I've learned to love it. They need to be realistic, but also push you a little bit. So the way I teach my clients this is like, there's a difference between getting butterflies versus wanting to vomit. If I am launching a new product and I say I have to get 150 sales, that's not really motivating for me. But if I say, oh, go get 50 sales, that gives me butterflies. And then if I have 50 sales, maybe I think, okay, so maybe I believe in 100 sales. And then we take steps. So it has to be like that feeling you get before a fun first date, but not making you want to vomit, right? So make sure you set goals that are challenging, but motivating. And definitely make sure, both for yourself as well as for team members, if you have them, that you also set process-based goals. And then I would tag on to that just taking one moment every day or every week or at least every quarter to review your past period really helps with the 3 questions. What went well? What could have gone better? What are you missing for future success? You're going to see that this is often the same thing, and that means you need to work on it. Now, if you struggle setting your goals, I have a gift for you. I created a guide. It's a focus guide. It's a really short and simple guide with 4 steps you can use to set your goals. And if you want that, I'll gift it to you for free. So in the guide, I talk about how to define your goal, how to make it really big, audacious, but really clear, how to state a commander's intent that will help you always stay on course towards your goals. And I'm going to help you also identify the action steps you need to take to hit your goals, but also what the 80-20 in your goals are. So if you want that guide, simply go to fastforwardamy.com/focus guide, and I'll gift it to you for free. So that's just a link in the description, or fastforwardamy.com/focus guide. Have a lot of fun. And remember, if you want my help to set up your online income, this month, I'm hosting a challenge for my online business club. It's my digital pilot challenge. In 21 days, I'm going to help you set up your online income and hit your first 1,000 euros in sales online. If you want more information about that, go to fastforwardamy.com/online business, or just simply text me on Instagram with online club, all one word. So that's online club, one word. Text me that on FastForwardAmy Instagram, and I'll send you all of the information. Now, let's make this a banging next 6 months together. Can't wait to see you next week for another episode. And if you like this episode, remember to leave a little review because it means the world to me. Thank you. Bye. You want to make money on Instagram, but you're not exactly sure what you actually need in order to make that happen. Chances are you're creating content and you're trying different things, but it seems to not really click together, and you're wondering why those other people are getting in all of those sales, but you aren't. Well, in reality, even if you're only selling for 30 euros every day, that's an extra 1,000 a month if you can make it work. But so many people actually can't because they don't see the full picture and they are missing one key element. That's why I've made the Instagram income map for my clients, which is a PDF workbook that you can go through in 1 hour. You'll discover the 8 building blocks that determine whether you just attract clients on Instagram or just talk about sales, or that you can actually go from attracting clients to getting in sales every single day. And I want that for you. So you can go and grab the workbook now, available for only 27 euros for a limited time. Go to fastforwardamy.com/income map and I'll send it over to you instantly, or click the link in the description of this episode.